not too much on my looks now, guys. Okay? Today, I don't know. Today was a long day. So, this is what you guys are getting. Aloha, my loves. In honor of AAPI month, I thought I could use today's episode to talk about my journey from Hawaii to Utah. I don't think I've ever taken time or really given space to talk about that transition in my life. And so I wanted to just take some time to talk about what it was like to move away from Hawaii right after graduating high school and how much it genuinely changed me as a person. I think for a lot of people who move away from their home, we experience these identity shifts that no one really ever prepared us for. And for me personally, you guys, moving forced me to grow up very quickly. When I first moved, I was so excited. I was focused on school, I was focused on my future, I was focused on building a life for myself. But here's the thing, once the excitement wore off, reality set in. Because moving away from Maui wasn't just me leaving an island or leaving my family and my community behind. It was leaving the only environment where I felt automatically understood. Back home, I never had to explain myself. I never had to explain my culture. I never had to explain the way that we talk, joke, connect, or show up for one another, even. But out here, oh yeah, I suddenly became very aware that I was different. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, that was it was kind of painful at first. And honestly, sometimes like it would still be painful when I would think about it. Moving away also helped me realize truly how different Hawaii is from the continental US. You guys, the communication style is different, the pace of life is different, the energy of things is different. Social norms are so different. For me personally, one of the biggest struggles and one of the hardest parts of moving away was honestly friendships. I don't think people talk about this enough, but it can feel extremely difficult to make friends as an adult, especially when you have moved to somewhere where things are so completely different culturally. And at first, I definitely struggled really, really hard to feel like I fit in anywhere. When I moved here, it felt like a lot of people already had their lifelong friend groups, their church communities, their spouses, their kids. There was this feeling that everybody already had their place in life, and I was still trying to figure out where mine was. And quick disclaimer, guys, what I'm about to say is my experience. Um, this is what I have gone through. This is what I have lived. And I'm sorry, but if anything upsets you from what I'm about to say, that's just a call for you to look inward and figure out why my story is upsetting you. Hate to say it that way, but yeah. Um, there were a lot of moments in my first few years of living in Utah where I definitely felt outcasted for the simple fact that I was not a part of the dominant religion. Not necessarily because people were directly mean to me all the time, but because there were moments where you could literally feel them, like, I don't know how to explain it other than I could literally feel them pulling away from me. You know, like I could feel their energy changing, their body language shifting, and it it hurt. Another weird adjustment for me was seeing how different people's timelines were. And what I mean by that is, back home in Hawaii, of course, there were people who, were getting married young and having kids young too. But me personally, it felt like out here in Utah, it felt like it was so normalized and almost expected for you to be married and have multiple children or at least one child by the age of like 21. And again, guys, this is my experience. This is no disrespect to anyone or anything. This is truly just how I perceived things. And the reason is because I remember being in college and meeting people my age who were already married, having multiple children, and buying a home. Whereas I was just trying to survive being away from my home and was just trying to figure out how to navigate college. So again, timelines felt so different. And I hate saying this, but it genuinely made me question myself at times. There were definitely moments where I was like, wait, am I behind? Am I focusing on the wrong things? And one thing that I had to learn is that when you are dropped into an environment where the cultural norms are completely different from the place where you grew up, I began to subconsciously or unconsciously compare myself to the people here without even realizing it. And for me, moving away taught me that normal truly just depends on where you come from. The biggest example and the easiest example that I can give to people is greetings. In Hawaii, when you meet people, even people that you're meeting for the first time, you greet them with a hug and a kiss. Like it's very normal. And so for me, like I had to like unlearn that coming up here. I would like be introduced to people and I'd be going in for a freaking honey, and they would just kind of look at me like, what is she doing? You know? I also underestimated just how much I would miss the small things. I miss hearing pigeon every day. I miss being able to just go anywhere and get local food. I miss being able to just go to the store and call the cashier auntie and uncle, or even just call people auntie and uncle. I miss turning on the radio and hearing local music. I miss being able to hug and kiss people. And ultimately, I miss the quality time that I got to spend with my family. Back home, there's this unspoken feeling of community that's really hard to explain unless you've experienced it yourself. And when I moved away from that, I realized how much those little things actually grounded me emotionally. I think, honestly, folks, one of the hardest parts too was realizing how quickly I was trying to adapt to fit in. And I started to become hyper aware of how I spoke, how I looked, how I dressed, how loud or expressive I was. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, like it almost like really damaged my self-esteem there for a second. There were definitely moments where I was shrinking myself in order to feel more digestible to other people, in order to feel accepted. I would let people come up with nicknames for me, or I would let them call me different things because apparently learning Keholani was too hard for them. There were so many situations where I wouldn't speak up because I was afraid of causing issues. And there were times where I did things or I went to events that I didn't even fucking believe in, all for the sake of making friends. And I'm sorry I'm like really jittery and like moving a lot and playing with my hair a lot, but it's like I said before in previous episodes, folks, when I think of old versions of myself, it's kind of hard because there's a lot of like feelings of anger and disgust and other things that come up. But we roll through it. One thing that I'm truly grateful for in regards to moving away from Hawaii is the fact that moving away caused me to learn how to be okay with being alone very quickly. It taught me how to truly learn how to sit with myself, how to enjoy my own company, how to build my own routines, how to explore by myself, how to create stability. And I'm extremely grateful for that because I feel like had I not moved away, I don't know if I would have been able to learn how to be so comfortable with myself the way that I did. When you leave home, especially that young, you eventually reach a point where you have to ask yourself, like, all right, what kind of person do I actually want to be? And that's not just culturally or professionally, but morally, emotionally, spiritually. Moving taught me how to stand firm in my own values. It taught me what I believe in, how I want to treat people, what kind of relationships I want around me, what kind of life I want to build for myself. And honestly, moving away made me more intentional. When you're rebuilding yourself in a completely different environment, you become very aware of the parts of yourself that you want to protect. When it comes to my profession, I genuinely believe that moving away has allowed me to be a better and stronger therapist because I know what it feels like to feel disconnected. I know what it feels like to feel culturally out of place. I know what it feels like to struggle with belonging and with grieving versions of yourself. And it's honestly been able to help me expand my empathy in ways that, again, I don't know this would have happened otherwise. It also taught me how deeply your environment impacts your mental health. It taught me how much people silently carry while still appearing high functioning. And honestly, it's made me more compassionate, not just clinically, but overall as a person. I will say, folks, one thing that I truly wasn't expecting, um, moving away made my relationship with home feel so much more sacred. When you live somewhere for your entire life, it is easy to accidentally assume that people, places, and moments will always be there. But distance changes that. And so now when I go home, the hugs feel different. Family dinners feel different. Hearing local music on the radio feels different. And especially since the fires, you guys, like anytime I go home, it is so sacred and it is so special to me because it allows me to feel like I'm connected with my auntie. Anyways, leaving Maui made me it made me learn to appreciate home in a way that I never fully could have before. Because now that I no longer live there, I know what it feels like to miss it. I know what it feels like to yearn for something. I wasn't supposed to cry in this episode, guys. Sorry. Since moving away, one of the things that I've become very intentional about is trying to continue to live a life of aloha, even while being away from Hawaii. Because I've learned that aloha lives in how I treat people, it lives in how I carry myself, it lives in my community, and it lives within me. And that's something that I never want to lose touch with. I don't know, guys. Sometimes I sit back and I think about 17-year-old me leaving Maui and starting a new life. And honestly, I think she would be so proud. Because there were so many moments, guys, where I wanted to give up and go home. You guys have no idea the bullying that I went through the first few years of living here. The struggles of being a broke college student and feeling so alone. There were so many moments, guys, that I just wanted to tuck tail and run home to my mom. But the thing is I never let any of that bullshit stop me. I never let any of those bitches stop me. And that's another thing too, those bitches who fucking bullied me at Slick, if you're watching this. I never let any of that stop me because at the end of the day, I knew that I wanted a better life for myself. And this Maui girl still graduated college, still earned my master's degree, still became a social worker, built a career, built a community, and I kept going even when things felt hard. And I think that that's something that younger me deserved to see. That all the pain and discomfort that we went through was worth it. And it turned into growth over time. So shout out to you, little girl. Shout out to you, little Kihau. We're fucking awesome. I also just quickly want to say this for anyone who is from Hawaii who's currently listening. Please never limit yourselves. We have so much to offer this world. We are so much more than fucking grass huts and coconut bras and fucking tea leaf skirts and all the other commercialized shit that the Western media paints us to be. Our culture teaches resilience, connection, community, emotional intelligence. And sometimes when you leave the islands, you suddenly realize just how special all of that is. You suddenly realize just how special it is to come from Hawaii, to call Hawaii home. Because I don't give a fuck what nobody says. There is no place like Hawaii. And I will always take so much pride in having been born and raised in Maui. I take so much pride in being native Hawaiian. And so, again, for anyone listening back home, Don't ever let other people limit you. Moving away changed me in ways that I wasn't expecting. Some were painful, some were beautiful, some were lonely as hell. But at the end of the day, guys, I'm very grateful for the journey that has shaped me into the woman that I now am today. And I don't know, guys. I wanted to take time to kind of touch and share little bits of my story with all of you. And so, as always, thank you guys for being here. You guys truly are such an amazing family and community, and I feel so blessed. Until next time, mahalo and aloha.